Congo presidential hopeful Martin Fayulu has branded the country's general election as total chaos, as widespread delays capped off a disorderly campaign marred by opposition allegations of fraud, electoral violence and logistical setbacks. Delays were reported in several towns in Congo's rebel-plagued east and in the capital, Kinshasa. Voting material had not arrived at polling stations and voter lists were not published. Fayulu, runner-up in the disputed 2018 presidential election, said that while the vote was well organized in the upmarket Gombe district in the capital where he voted, it was not the same in the rest of the country.
La CENI a dit qu'il y a 71 000 quelques bureaux de vote. Il faut que ces 71 000 bureaux de vote, que les gens puissent voter. Et s'il y a des bureaux où les gens ne votent pas, nous n'accepterons pas ces élections. Mais c'est un chaos total. Vous voyez, il n'y a pas d'organisation. Tout ce monde, jusqu'à 17h, même 18h, est-ce qu'ils peuvent voter?
Elections around the continent are often marred by allegations of vote rigging and corruption. To unpack for us what is happening there in the DRC, we're joined now by Dr William Mpofu, who is a researcher at the Wits Center for Diversity Studies. Dr Mpofu, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Why is the world watching this election?
Yes, the world is watching this election for more reasons than one. The elections are taking place when the world itself, the entire world, is standing on precarious ground because of conflicts, civilizational wars, and other geopolitical tensions that are threatening peace at a world scale. And DRC Congo has been a central part of this world that is a contested world where African countries have been pressured now and previously to become spheres of influence for this superpower and that superpower for that global bloc and that other global bloc. But specifically, in African terms, DRC Congo has been an African trouble sport where the eastern side has been hostage to stubborn and enduring militarized conflicts. The country itself has not known peace for many decades, has gone through tyrannies and the assassination of presidents, and previous elections have been marred in a lot of violence. So that is enough, in my view, to arrest the attention of the world, to arrest the attention of well-wishers, to arrest the attention of journalists and scholars who are curious about the prospects of peace, prospects of progress, and prospects of democratization in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So what is happening there politically is the business of the world, is the business of Africa, and as much as it is the business of the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Particularly, you've already mentioned the bloc, the East African community wishes for these elections to be free and fair, peaceful and credible. Why are they pinning their hopes on the credibility of this nation? What good will that do for the region and for the bloc?
The DRC is central to that region, as it is central to the African continent. And the problems that take place in the DRC, that is the militarized conflicts that have been taking place, tend to spill over to neighboring countries and to become domestic problems there. And we have seen historically that the conflicts that play out in the Congo are actually conflicts that extend from neighboring countries like Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda, and other countries. So the interest in the DRC is based on exactly that. The instability economically and politically in that country tends to vibrate into neighboring countries, into the continent, and into the world. Hence, this vivid interest in this election that is taking place right now in the DRC. And the refugee crisis that is spread in that region, creating a dire humanitarian situation, has emanated mainly from the DRC. So those that hope for peace, those that hope for reprieve, and those that hope for stability are looking at these elections with some enhanced attention and hope for liberating results, if one may say.
Yeah. Is the criticism leveled at the National Electoral Commission of its poor state of readiness for these elections warranted?
It's an African problem which we are specifically looking at now taking place in the Congo, where we find that electoral bodies are caught not prepared for the elections, or they are captive to incumbent regimes, or they deliberately perform these unpreparedness events. They deliberately act out the sham processes that encumber on the elections, deliberately just to prevent, on behalf of incumbents, positive outcomes that may be acceptable to the people of that specific country, to the region, and to the world. So elections do not happen in the casting of the ballots only, but the processes that precede and that surround the elections. So the preparedness of electoral bodies, their resources, and their conduct, and their attitudes, their independence especially, are part of the election itself. So it should worry all Africans. It should worry the Congolese in the opposition and in the incumbent regime that we are witnessing these acts of unpreparedness and these sham processes that are being observed currently.
Now, it is hoped that whoever will be winning these elections will come up with some kind of a political solution to the challenges, many of which you have already mentioned, and problems facing the DRC. Is there a political solution, and what does it look like?
What is needed is really a political solution that can then extend to solve the military problem, the security problem, and the insecurity problem. But observing from other African countries and other trouble spots in the continent, it's not enough to hope that the Congolese and their leaders are going to provide a political solution. We are beginning to realize many decades after the independence of the African continent from colonialism that the African continent should come through for African countries. Multilateral bodies like SADC, ECOWAS, and the multilateral body in Eastern Central Africa there should grow more teeth, should grow more legal and political powers to be able to discipline African governments, African political parties, and command them into political solutions to the continent's problem. So we hope in this case again that in the Congo, the multilateral institutions, the African Union itself, may come through for the people of the DRC and force the politicians there to respect the will of the people and to respect the peace, to respect the order, and to respect the future of that country. So it may not be left to one nation state or one country, but the African Union and its sub-multilateral institutions should grow enough political and legal teeth to order African countries and enforce democracy, enforce peace, and enforce security.
Is Tshisekedi's record enough to keep him in power, or is it likely going to be a situation where the DRC again is going to see a transference of power?
I've been looking at what other political analysts in the region are saying, and further up outside the continent. There is a possibility that this is, after all, another landmark election in the DRC, because there is a possibility for change. There is a possibility for the status quo to proceed as it were. But what is feared and what is concerning is the possibility, once again, of a disputed outcome that might make the election become a cause rather than a solution to conflict and to tensions, which would be regrettable for the DRC and which would be regrettable for the continent of Africa.
Dr. Mpofu, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on.